Thank you for watching. Now, I know there has been many people who have claimed that they have solved the Zodiac 340 cipher. Well, the problem is no one could ever come up with a definitive proof to show their findings. And in this case, you need to show some kind of pattern. Well, I did find a pattern, but before we begin, let me just note that I turn all the symbols into numbers. I do that because I see numbers better than I do letters or other symbols. But just know that every number corresponds to a certain symbol and that everything is in its correct order. So let's just start with the first pattern that I found. So if you go to column 8, row 12, and all we're going to do is we're going to highlight it. Now the pattern here is if you go up 1, over 1, they're the same symbol. Up 2, over 2, same symbol. Up 3, over 3, same symbol. Up 4, over 4, they're different symbols. So that tells me that the pattern has now stopped. And so we're going to highlight them. So I was wondering if there were any others like this in the cipher, and there is one and only one more, and it's right here. So if you go to column 13, row 14, we're going to highlight it. And so again, if you go up 1, over 1, same symbol. Up 2, over 2, same symbol. Up 3, over 3, same symbol. Up 4, over 4, different symbols. So that means the pattern has stopped. So we're just going to go ahead and highlight the pattern. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go around the perimeter of each one of these to see if we cannot find any other symbols that fall in exactly the same place of one another. So as we go around, we'll note that if you go to the back end of each one of these, you'll see, I think it's the enclosed circle for you guys looking at the symbol version. So all we're going to do is highlight it. We're finding similarities between the two, and that's going to be the pattern. So we keep going around, and then you notice there's a plus sign on each side in exactly the same place. So if you go from the top, go down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1, plus sign. So all we're going to do is highlight those. And as we keep going around back to where we started, that's it. So there's no more. So if you look at those, there's only one thing that comes to my mind on what those are. And those are ducks. They look like ducks. So now that we found everything around the perimeters, we're going to look for other similarities outside the perimeters. So without going through all the details, because I've already been over this 50-60 times just to make sure, so all we're going to do is highlight other similarities. So if we call this a duck, I'm going to call this duck number 1, duck number 2. If we go from the tail of duck number 1 over 3, 1, 2, 3, there is a plus symbol. If we go from the tail end of duck number 2 over 3, 1, 2, 3, there is in fact a plus symbol. Again, we're finding similarities. That's all we're doing, and we're just marking them. So since these are in the exact same location, from the exact same proximity of one another, all we're going to do is highlight them. And the other one is, so if you go from the rear of duck number 1 over 2, 1, 2, and down 1, you'll get this symbol, which is the open triangle. If you go from the rear of duck number 2 over 2, 1, 2, down 1, it's exactly the same symbol. So all we're doing is highlighting them. Now, as you see, I'm not doing anything. I'm not just marking anything. I'm specifically marking similarities, and that's all I'm doing. I mean, this is the pattern. So the other one is, so if we go from the breast of duck number 1 and we go over 2, 1, 2, and down 1, there's a 15, which is the enclosed circle, but it's being designated as the tail for duck number 2. But if we go from the breast of duck number 2 over 2, 1, 2, down 1, we also get a 15. So we're going to highlight those, or highlight it. So now that's it. There is nothing else that we can do to try to connect these two together. That's all. So now we need to go and try to find other similarities somewhere else. So if you notice that the bill of duck number 1 is the center of the column and line on line 10. Well, I believe it's always been a consensus that if you look on row 10 on the first column and on the last column, they are the same symbol, being denoted as a dashed line or just a horizontal line. And that it probably represents some kind of separation between the upper half and lower half. So if we look at these two, can we find any similarities? Well, again, if we go vertically, horizontally, diagonally, now I will note that they actually intersect right here at this 47, which coincidentally is exactly right here at this 47, but there's no way of showing some kind of pattern to them. So that's just going to be, it's just, whether he did it by design or by accident, I don't know, but there is nothing to connect these together. However, if we go diagonally this way from one another, and we go, let's start this one, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, there's an F. If we go 1, 2, 3, 4, there too is an F. So we're going to highlight all these. Now, if we keep going up on each one, it's going to intersect right here at 37. We'll go ahead and mark it, but I will show you later that this is actually not part of a pattern, or part of the pattern. So let's compare this one and this one together to see what we get. Well, again, if you go vertically, horizontally, diagonally this way, the only similarities they have is they both intersect at this 7. Similarly, if you go from this way, it intersects this 7. So now that does tell me that all of this is connected. So now if we compare this one to this one, and we go diagonally up and to the left, and we'll go from the 7, so going up to the 7, and then we would go up 2 more, 1, 2, which is a backwards P, and then from this one, 1, 2, it also is a backwards P. So we're going to highlight those. Again, all I'm doing is highlighting similarities. I'm not just pulling anything out. And so now we're going to get back to this one. So if this one, which again is just the intersection point between these two, if this was actually part of the pattern with this pattern, then that would mean that this one, which is in the exact same location from this the string pattern, would be the same symbol. But since it's not, that means that the pattern has been broken right here at these backwards P's. So I'm just going to erase that. Okay, so now you see what we get. And I will tell you that this is it. There is no more to it. And you may see some things that look familiar, that look like they could be patterns, but you cannot connect them to anything else. So now let's analyze this a little bit more. So if we assume that these are ducts, also take note that there is no pattern suggesting that any legs are visible. If their legs are not visible, then what could they be doing? They could be swimming. So if these are, we're going to say, adult ducks, then what could these little blotches right here be? They could be little ducklings. So if this is water and these are separation points, then what are these actually separating? If this is water, then what's this up here going to be? I'm going to interpret it as it's the sky. So if we have water, a separation point, and sky, what are these then? So I'm going to interpret them as land, and more specifically trees, and I'll give my explanation on that in a minute. So if this is sky, then what could these be? Now I think they can be interpreted as either ducks flying in the sky or clouds. Well, I'm going to interpret them as clouds because I would think if he was going to show these as being ducks, he probably would have shown some kind of V formation. But if he were to have done that, then I believe that would have revealed an even more pattern than what he really wanted to show. So we're going to interpret these as clouds. So we have two adult ducks swimming with their little ducklings in water, and then we're going to have land showing separation between the water and the sky. And make no mistake, if these separation points were not here, then all this would be the same. But he clearly wanted to show separation from water and the sky. Let me just show you this. So if we were to add, highlight all the other, things that may look similar, again, you will not be able to find any connection between any of these other points. Just these are the only ones you can find some kind of connection to. Again, a pattern can be any kind of pattern. It could be a pattern of similarities, which is exactly what all this was. And again, I did not do anything to manipulate anything. All I did was simply connect the dots and find similarities between one another. That's all I did. So all this other stuff is just a bunch of noise. So again, if you take all the noise away, you get this. All of these are connected. So now the next thing to do is just to add color to it. Again, this is just going to be my interpretation, but I believe it's going to be pretty accurate. And no matter how many times I have done this, I get amazed by it every single time. Now there is one other feature that I have not shown yet, but I will show here in a little bit. And me personally, I believe it's what's really going to connect everything together. So let me show you my interpretation of the color. It looks like that. And again, I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is marking similarities, and then I just added color. That's all I did. You go from that to that, that to that. And now let's take away the numbers. So now there's the pixelated view. And now if we were to take away the grid lines, we get that. Now the other feature is, if you look on the Cipher, on the very bottom, it appears that he has signed his name, which never made sense to me before. Why would he sign his name to his cipher? I mean, we already know who he is, so why would he do that? Well, what does any good artist do to their masterpiece? They sign their name at the bottom to what they do. And so we have this. So that's the reason why he signed his name at the bottom, because he was signing his masterpiece. So you may be thinking, well, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, why would a cold-blooded serial killer encode a picture of ducks in a cipher? Well, I mean, without going through all the details, let's just say he does mention the wild game. He does mention a forest. So I'll kind of let you put those pieces together. I mean, I have my theory now. Now that after I saw this, I'm just not going to get into it right now. But a good place to go to for any kind of information, if you go to zodiacciphers.com website, there's a lot of material on the Zodiac. Now, I am not affiliated with this website. I am not a contributor to this website, but I have been there many times reading, and it is a good place to go. So anyway, that's all I have. Again, I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of pushback, but again, as you saw, I did not do anything. All I followed was a pattern and some similarities, and I just simply marked them, and then I added color. I mean, that's all I did. So yeah, please leave your comments below, and if there's any professional cryptologists out there that would like to put their 2 cents in, please. I mean, I would really like to hear them. So thank you for watching.